Good morning, Charlie Pierce.
Good morning, my belated Valentine.
Aww.
Charlie looks like a Jawa today.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You're still recuperating?
I am still an aging convalescent, yes.
I understand you had sympathy pains in your knee when Eminem took a knee.
Oh, no, I had sympathy pains in my knee when Joe Burrow took a helmet to his knee.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
ouch.
I'm very sensitive to watching athletes get hurt right now.
Listen, there was a lot of talk. We sported the sports here on the Stephanie Miller Show, as you know.
I know you
wasn't
did.
there a very clear face mask violation
that's
that Cincinnati got away with, right?
Yeah, they did.
That's going to go down in history as one of the great uncalled penalties of all time.
Yes.
It's also something I've never seen before. I've never seen a wide receiver do that.
Yes, he pulled the guy, the receiver's helmet. Like, I don't know how.
Twisted him around and threw him away.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Look at me sporting the sports.
How did you know this?
I watched the entire game.
A face mask is kind of obvious.
Yeah.
As we learned 6 or 7 years, it ain't cheating if you get away with it.
Yeah,
True.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we won.
But
Okay.
Good triumphed over evil. And
Yes.
Eminem took a knee, and Mary J. Blige has got us, and that's all
There-
good.
Well, yeah, you said you changed your mind about the Super Bowl halftime show. You said hip hop tuba. I'm glad I changed my mind.
Yes. There was a tuba.
There was.
And it was a great tuba.
Yes.
You don't see a lot of hip hop tuba.
Nope.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was fantastic. And I knew at the time I enjoyed it even more because I could feel the right-wing freak out happening as it was going on, right?
I tell you the truth, I honestly thought they might give it a pass for a day,
Yeah.
but leaping right onto Twitter, virtually after the last note was sounded,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just, God, their little world is so cramped and
Yeah.
uninteresting.
Yeah.
You know?
Charlie Kirk will never unclutch his pearls. His hands are sexual anarchy.
Well, he's, afflicted with a strange condition in which his face is starting to get smaller.
It's true.
His body
very
remains
weird.
the same size.
Yeah.
Head remains the same size. Face gets smaller.
All
It's
right.
like one of those Rod Serling things.
Charlie, where are you on the coming of the justice? I mean, it seems like this Mazars thing is a big deal, right? That clearly
Well, I
something
think-
is heating up with New York.
Well, not just that, but the people, obviously, the people who have enabled him all these years are deciding that corporate survival is better than keeping faith with this guy.
Yeah.
Mazars has suddenly realizes that the tax stuff they've been preparing for him for all these years was unreliable because he's a liar who lies. A
Yeah.
lying liar who lies.
Yeah. It's quite a
okay,
shock
fine.
at this point, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm stunned by this. But they've decided they'd rather there be a Mazars in 6 months than have Letitia James, vivisect them in court.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
if you listen to Mary Trump or you read the whole Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times thing, I mean, that seems to be the mystery. How has he gotten away with what is such obvious blatant fraud for so many years? Insurance fraud, tax fraud, bank fraud. I mean, it's just
Well, a lot of it, I maintain, a lot of it is just the way you do business in Manhattan real estate. I mean, that's been a
really
Yeah.
fraud is just the business model.
been a sink-
Yeah.
it's been a
Yeah.
sinkhole of corruption for decades. He's just, just turned the dial to 11.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean his.
His hands, one hand is washing the other all over town. I mean, look, it's not that dissimilar to the banking houses prior to the 2008 meltdown. They all knew they were selling crap.
Right.
They were selling worthless stuff. They even emailed each other about it. But it was just the way it worked.
Right. Well, you.
Fraud is now one of the essential parts of any American corporate business plan because we've given up on regulation.
Depressing. Well, I was talking yesterday about how all this inflation nonsense, it's corporate price gouging, and
No, I
the
was
media
gonna say,
doesn't cover it
70%
as such.
price gouging. You're right. I mean, the corporate CEO salary bumps are proof enough of that.
Yeah. And they're on these calls bragging about how they're raising prices.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, if we still believed in regulating, the way American business does business, we'd be all over this. But we're not, and we haven't been, for about 40 years, and it's going to be hard to get back to it.
Yeah. You retweeted Governor Larry Hogan, Republican of Maryland, said the Republican Party I want to get back to is the one that believes in freedom and truth and not one that attacks people who don't swear 100% fealty to the dear leader. And you said, I want to, pardon me.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. I'm good.
goodness gracious. Are you
Yep.
okay? You know,
Wow.
God. Okay. It's because it was 87 yesterday, and now today it's 58. Anyway, you said I want to get back to the one that swears 100% fealty to bad ideas that don't work and retrograde social policies. Yes, let's get back to arguing about your original bad ideas, right?
Yeah. Well, they're all going to go back to it. Even Liz Cheney's going to go back to it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not changing any of their the fundamental bad ideas that have, done such damage. They're just, they want to put a happier face on it.
Yeah. So
And a non-criminal face.
So we were talking about Ukraine. Your piece just is the one thing that's certain is the people of Ukraine want to govern themselves. And, I think that, I guess what I find amazing is that I just never thought we'd see the day when Ronald Reagan's party is doing all of Russia's talking points from Tucker Carlson on down. And isn't that part of what Putin's, calculation is that he has one entire American party in his pocket that will do all of his talking points, will excuse anything he does that is not on the side of America.
Yeah, I don't think they needed Vladimir Putin to take the positions they're taking now. I think it's all about beating Joe Biden and beating the Democrats.
Yeah.
It just, that it helps Putin is an ancillary benefit to him. But, it just...
Oh God, we're like a sick bay this morning.
Yes, I know, it's contagious over the...
Sneezing on you, you're coughing on me.
There
Go
are
ahead.
diseased pixels coming out of my screen. My train of thought has completely left the tracks now. Wait a minute.
Just Russia and just...
Pray the devil. I think that they're repeating these talking points. They had why did we pull out of Afghanistan moment, and that didn't last very long because nobody wanted to stay in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Now they've moved on to, isn't Biden feckless because A, he's letting Putin run wild, and B, he doesn't understand that Ukraine is really part of Russia anyway.
Well, I knew this was, they were all for this Afghanistan plan when it was Trump's. They were fine with him surrendering to the Taliban, and this was, anyway. But
well, part of that may be that they were sure he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah. Well,
That they were confident that he was going to renege, which is, something you can rely on when it comes to that guy.
Yeah. But, there's this story this morning about the Chinese president and Putin standing side by side during the opening ceremony of the Olympics. They're saying the clearest signal yet, the two are intent on shaping a new world order, one in which America's post-war global dominance is in retreat and autocratic regimes can thrive in the space left behind. They see this as a post-Trump world where the Americans pulled out of Afghanistan in disarray. They don't seem to be able to deter the Russians, and they can't even manage. But this is where I'm saying the Republicans in this country are on Russia's side. Their goal is both chaos in America and whatever is...
I found that piece interesting because it implies that if this project succeeds, Putin and the Chinese will be like, co-powers in the New World Order.
Yeah.
The Chinese will eat Putin alive. His economy's a mess. Mm-hmm. His country's a mess.
Yeah.
The only thing he's got going for himself right now is the secret police and the army.
Yeah.
The Chinese are not like that.
right.
Yeah.
They have their own
my
economic
point is, the world perception we can't even manage COVID. It is exclusively because of one party in this country. That we have that
Right.
we've done as
I would go further and say it's exclusively, one political philosophy, which is modern American conservatism,
Yeah.
which is has mutated into hundreds of, I don't even know what you'd call them really, hundreds of tiny little micro stupidities.
Yeah, and they're not even circumspect about it. They are rooting for the shutdown of this Canadian highway, right, and which impacts our auto industry. Rand Paul is actively hoping they clog up our State of the Union. They want then they want to bitch about supply chain stuff when they've just shut down a highway. So the
guy I read I don't know who it was, one of the Canadian officials said there are people who want to work in auto parts stores that can't work in auto parts stores because they can't get the auto parts.
Yeah.
Because they can't get the auto parts over the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got
I mean,
Republicans
I have
rooting
my own-
for it
I
and
have-
sending
I have my
money.
own- I have my own doubts about global trade, but surely we can all agree that we should have bridges between here and Canada.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's okay by me.
Yeah.
But again, the Canadians seem to have handled it very well.
The Mounties have been called. And once the Mounties are there,
Dudley Do-Right's on.
Do-Right has
Yeah,
arrived.
That's right.
Charlie, so everything is okay.
Fighting in Fort
The
Saskatchewan.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police have arrested 11 people involved in the truckers' blockade near the U.S.-Canada border, found a major cache of weapons and body armor in 3
Whoa, time
vehicles. That
Major cache of what?
A major cache of
weapons and body armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, in Canada?
What?
In Canada.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is what they're saying. They conducted the search after learning of an organized group among the truckers with access to weapons and a willingness to use force against the police. And
There
they're
aren't many
finding
of these guys who are truckers, by the way.
Right.
No, I know.
You know, raising hell.
Right. This is last week a Canadian judge blocked an online fundraiser for the truckers by a right-wing American Christian site. I mean, this
There we
is what
go.
they're finding, right? This is all right-wing money from here.
I mean, I hate to poach on Father Fugelsang's territory, but what the hell is Christian about blocking a trade route?
Thank you.